Alright guys, so we're going to start to move away from working with the DOM for now and get back into learning other parts of JavaScript. In this section we're going to learn about asynchronous JavaScript and working with technologies like Ajax and the Fetch API, which are used to make HTTP requests to files, APIs, and services, whether your own or some external REST API or something like that. Now Ajax and the XML HTTP request object are older technologies, but very reliable, and Fetch is a newer standard, and we're going to be working with both. Okay, we're actually going to build a simple custom HTTP library that uses both, and we're building this library to show you how to make all types of requests while at the same time using things like callbacks and promises. Alright, so before we talk about asynchronous programming, let's talk about synchronous programming or synchronous code. So here's an example of some synchronous code. So we have a variable set to a function called load post sync. Okay, so load post synchronously. And let's say this function fetches posts from some server somewhere. Now we don't know how long it might take to get these posts. It could be really slow. It could be a really slow network that we're getting them from, low bandwidth, whatever the reason. It could take a few seconds or even more. Now in this way of writing this code, we're going to have to wait until the posts are fetched and then do something with the posts, and then only after that's done can we move on to the do the next thing function. So this is what's called blocking code. It's going to block until the posts are fetched and loaded, which obviously slows things down. Alright, so now let's take a look at some asynchronous code, okay? Basically the same example, but in a synchronous version. In this case, instead of just pulling the posts out of a synchronous function, we're passing in a callback function, which is just one method for handling asynchronous code. This callback will run and fetch the posts and allow us to do something with the posts, but the do the next thing function does not have to wait until the posts are fetched and loaded. Alright, so the program isn't blocked and it will simply just keep going. Even if it takes a while for the post to be fetched, it's not going to stop the do the next thing function from running. In turn, this is much faster, and that's the beauty of asynchronous JavaScript and asynchronous programming in general. Now, most of the asynchronous code that you're going to work with is going to come from some API or library, such as Ajax and the XHR object, which we'll talk about in the next video, or jQuery Ajax, libraries like Axios, the Fetch API, the Node.js FS or file system module. These are all async technologies, so you just have to handle the response in a certain way. Alright, so there's a few ways to handle asynchronous code. One is callbacks, which have been around forever. That's the example we just saw, had a callback function. I'm going to show you how to use and write callbacks. Then we also have newer methods like the ES6 or ES2015 promises. And then even newer features like async await, which allow us to write asynchronous code or asynchronous operations and make them look like simple synchronous code. Alright, so in the next video we're going to jump in and we're going to start working with Ajax, which actually stands for Asynchronous JavaScript and XML.